So what do you get when you take essentially a GT40-style American-made race car and replace the ground-pounding 427 V8 with a jet turbine engine from a helicopter? Well, you get the Howmet TX, or Turbine Experimental. Hey guys, welcome to Biking Car Saga. This is a YouTube channel where we break down the world's most fascinating performance vehicles and what makes them so unique. If you want to learn more about vehicles just like the Howmet TX and others, then hit that subscribe button, because we have plenty of new videos coming in the near future. Now let's find out what makes the Howmet TX itself so unique and so fascinating. While the Howmet TX is not the first turbine-powered race car, it was the first to actually win a competitive race against other internal combustion engine vehicles. In fact, it was able to squeak out 2 SCCA race victories during its only year of competitive racing. It all started when racer Ray Heppenstall began developing a concept for his own turbine-powered sports car, making improvements where the previous Rover BRM turbine race car had fallen short just a few years prior. Heppenstall believed a turbine-powered car could be more competitive and effective if the chassis itself had a simpler design. He initially pitched the project to Williams Research and then to the Allison Engine Company, both of whom said no. Finally, after exhausting all available options, he asked for help from a fellow competitor in the racing space, Tom Fleming. At the time, Tom Fleming was the vice president of the Howmet Corporation, a company that produced castings for turbines used in aerospace. Heppenstall convinced Howmet that supporting a competitive and unique sports car could raise the company's profile. Howmet agreed to provide both the money and the name to the project, and thus began the journey of the Howmet TX. Heppenstall initially purchased a Cooper Monaco sports car to begin the project, but soon realized it wasn't ideal for a turbine application and sold that chassis. It turns out, converting a gasoline internal combustion car to fit a turbine isn't as easy as it sounds. So he hired Bob McKee, the proprietor of McKee Engineering, to construct 2 entirely new chassis for the vehicle. The first was an older McKee car, originally built for a 1966 Can-Am Series race. It was modified to fit the turbine engine and became the basis for the first space frame chassis. The second car, known as GTP2, was built from the ground up, specifically to accommodate a turbine engine from its inception. This chassis was 2 2/4 inches, or 57 millimeters, longer and was referred to internally as the Mark 9, though all cars were publicly known as Howmet TX. The Mark 9 had a unique mid-engine layout designed around the FIA's Group 6 rules for sport prototypes. Bob McKee designed a closed cockpit body with gull-wing doors to cover the configuration. The car used disc brakes, double wishbone suspension, and coil springs, standard for the era. Nestled between the cockpit and turbine sat a 32-gallon or 120-liter fuel tank holding jet fuel. Both Howmet TXs were powered by Continental Aviation and Engineering TS325-1 turbine units. They produced around 650 foot-pounds of torque and weighed only 170 pounds, or 77 kilograms. The turbines could spin up to 57,000 RPM, a number nearly unimaginable for traditional internal combustion engines. Using 2-stage reduction gearing, power was sent to the rear wheels. The car only had 1 forward speed due to the wide torque band, but the differential could be tuned to suit different racetracks. However, the FIA required all race cars to have reverse gear. Since the TX had none, a small electric motor powered by the turbine was installed to reverse the vehicle. The turbine had 2 center exhaust pipes and a 3rd offset pipe for the wastegate. The wastegate was essential. It allowed the car to respond faster when throttle was applied by directing hot gas flow to the power turbine before core RPMs could adjust. This was a game changer in controlling power delivery. The FIA used an equivalent model of the TS325-1 to qualify the car for the 1968 24 Hours of Daytona. Both TXs were brought, but only the newer GTP2 Mark IX raced. Heppenstall, Dick Thompson, and Ed Lothar qualified 8th overall and moved up to 3rd early in the race. But on lap 32, the wastegate failed, giving too much power in a corner, causing a crash and forcing retirement. Next came Sebring's. The TX qualified just behind a Porsche 907 and Ford GT40. It ran reliably for a while, until debris damaged the turbine after 6 hours, forcing another retirement. In Europe, things didn't get better. At Brands Hatch, the car crashed again due to another wastegate failure after just 7 laps. At Oulton Park, English driver Hugh Dibley entered a national sprint race, but the starter motor failed during a pit stop and the TX couldn't finish. Returning to the U.S., the TX entered the SCCA National Championship. At the Vandergrift Trophy in West Virginia, Heppenstall set a new lap record and finished 2nd. Next, at the Heart of Dixie celebration in Alabama, the TX won the sprint race and then won again in the main event. These were the first ever competitive victories for a turbine-powered car. The TX dominated the qualifying race and then led every lap in the main event, winning by 11 laps. Both TXs entered the 6 hours of Watkins Glen. One car, driven by Dibley and Bob Tullius, qualified 9th but had transmission issues near the end. The other car finished first in class and even made the overall podium. It earned 4 points in the International Championship. But on the long straights of Circuit de la Sarthe, the TX struggled to qualify, placing only 20th. One car suffered fuel system issues within 3 laps. The second car had a wheel bearing failure, requiring a 3-hour repair. After completing only 60 laps, the car was disqualified. Shortly after, the second car crashed while still running low on fuel. Following the disappointing finish at Le Mans, Heppenstall began making plans for 1969, including a new multi-gear transmission. But Howmet didn't feel the project was bringing enough return, so they decided to end the racing program entirely. And that marked the end of the Howmet TX's short racing career, a car that had the potential to change racing forever, but never truly got the chance. Legacy. The remaining 2 Howmet TXs changed owners several times and were eventually restored. 2 replicas were built for vintage racing series, and to this day, they still race occasionally. And that is the tragic but legendary story of the Howmet TX, the helicopter turbine-powered race car that was never meant to be. If you enjoyed this video, we'd greatly appreciate it if you drop a like and share this video with other enthusiasts. Also, make sure to subscribe to Racecars' YouTube channel. We've got more documentary-style content on the world's most fascinating vehicles every single week. Until next time, enthusiasts, have a good one.